GM everyone, this is Clément from Commit, and today I'm with Maria from Interchain Foundation. Maria, please, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Clément, for having me here. My name is Maria Gomez. I'm currently the Managing Director of the Interchain Foundation
in Switzerland.
And the Interchain Foundation is a Swiss foundation, and I'm based in
every
Zurich.
Foundation.
Like most of the foundations, yeah.
Okay, great. Could you explain me and explain to everyone what is the core mission? Because there is two things. There is Cosmos and there is the Interchain Foundation. What is the core mission of the foundation?
The core mission of the foundation is funding different pieces of the Interchain stack or Cosmos stack. For us, those are public goods. So those pieces of the stack are always going to be open source and free.
Okay.
And so we, the mission and the focus is to make sure that those pieces of the stack are being developed and maintained.
Okay. So, and mostly for, you mentioned that it is open source and for somehow regenerative finance, but you work also for DeFi. You help also DeFi protocols to build on Cosmos.
We are agnostic on that sense, on like what is the use case that people are going to be building around. So it can be, of course, like we love region projects, but we're open to any type of project that people want to build
on Cosmos.
Or on Cosmos. Exactly.
Okay, great.
The
there is one. Okay, I will start with one thing. I've wrote lots of questions. There will be questions about governance, DAOs and stuff like that. You didn't mention, but you've mentioned it off the record. You previously worked for Aragon, so I've got a question about DAOs, governance, and stuff like that. But there's one thing that intrigued me is there is something called replicated security traction on Cosmos. Could you tell me more about it?
Yeah, it's the thing is that one of the issues for these new projects trying to set up a blockchain with the Interchain stack, that launching a blockchain has it's now more easy. However, one of the issues around setting up a blockchain is to security around the blockchain and having a good set of validators. So through the replicated security, what the hub is offering in that community is to having the validator set that is already operating at the hub, which is one of the strongest one in the ecosystem, also validate these chains, these new chains that are open to use replicated security and and to launch and use the Interchain security on the hub.
Okay, and what is the main? I want to know that because I'm as I told you, I'm mostly not interested, but I mostly know projects and the ecosystem around Ethereum from the layer 2s, the EVM chains and stuff like that. But how does Cosmos works? How everything works? So previously on Ethereum it was proof of work, now it's proof of stake. So we've changed the paradigm of the ecosystem, the blockchain. How Cosmos works?
Yeah, so the main thesis of Cosmos is the upchain thesis, which is what you are seeing currently happening at Ethereum at the L2 level.
Yeah.
For example, with all these projects launching on using the Optimism stack. But this was the vision of Cosmos since the beginning. So this was already happening for many years in Cosmos. The first blockchain around like the app chain thesis was a Cosmos Hub. But now currently we have like more than 50 chains that are being built using the Interchain stack. And so the idea is that every application has its own needs, and is the community around that application, the community of users around that application, the ones that decide on like what are the different features that blockchain needs, what are the different characteristics that blockchain needs. And so by using the Interchain stack, people don't have to sacrifice interoperability, and also they are free to do to manage that project as they wish. It's a blockchain per application.
Okay. Okay, so it's a blockchain per application.
Yes.
And as I see with my Ethereum like eyes user, isn't it too much to have like so many chains working in I know it's the way this blockchain, this layer is built, but isn't it probably too complicated for an early user to understand the concepts and the basics of those stacks working all together?
Yeah, for a non-dev person, maybe, but although I mean, at the on a high level, what they need to understand is that now there is like you can setting up a blockchain in Cosmos is like putting some pieces together, and those pieces are already developed. And so that's what we call the Interchain stack. So we have the consensus engine, we have the Cosmos SDK with the different modules that people can select according to their use case and how they want their blockchain to be. And then the IBC protocol, which is another key piece of the Interchain stack, and is like the intercommunication protocol. And so people just put those pieces together and they can launch that blockchain. And so for a non-developer, for example, that's what they have to understand. And then that blockchain will respond to a specific use case. Like it can be a DEX like Uniswap, or it can be any region project like Region. Anything that they can think of.
Okay. Well, thank you for this great insights. So Cosmos is a layer 1. Could you share your thoughts on the current layer 1 space markets, and how do you see Cosmos positioning now and in the upcoming years regarding? I mean, we have obviously Ethereum. We have also Near. There is Tron. But how do you see Cosmos positioning in this landscape?
I think as I mentioned before, one of the key pieces of the Cosmos or Interchain stack is the IBC protocol.
Yeah.
And so, for example, in Ethereum, they are starting to have the problem that now all these L2s, they communicate with the settlement layer, which is Ethereum blockchain, the L1. However, those L2s, they don't communicate among each other. That's when Cosmos comes, and what is different, because in Cosmos, all these blockchains and these Cosmos SDK based blockchains, they can have that intercommunication protocol right away, and so that's not a problem for them. And we see more and more that people want these blockchains to talk to each other and to be able to move assets across all these different blockchains. So for us, we always think about the internet of blockchains. And so for sometimes for us, it's also difficult to see other projects as competitors. For example, you would say now the optimism ecosystem or the OP stack could be a competitor, but there has been talks about how that those L2s launching there could be using IBC to communicate among each other. So
definitely, but in my opinion, if you ask me, you will say that you asked me, but in my opinion, most of these layer twos and all of these ZK blockchain launching, probably like one or two will stay. I mean, will stay in this landscape because the competition is too important, and there is few differences between all of these blockchain. They are kind of all the same, and the final users probably don't need that many blockchain, because the final user need an application that runs smoothly and he can do whatever he wants, and he don't have to think about how all of this works. Because today, when you open your laptop, you are not thinking of how all the PCs, the GPUs, CPUs, the motherboard, they are all working together. Even when you open Gmail or whatever the application, you don't think of how it works. So probably it's this is something I see today is regarding this landscape. I mean, don't we have too many layers?
The thing is that in Cosmos we don't see it as layers per se. It's like I said, we think more like about use cases and a blockchain serving a use case. Now the fact that one blockchain communicates to another, I don't think the end user needs to understand what is happening at the back end.
No.
And so, but they are going to have that usability of like being able to, I don't know, open an LP position in an exchange like Osmosis, and like, I don't know, like go and stake also in Stride. Which is another project in Cosmos around staking, and so you can stake there and then open positions in another blockchain like another DEX. So it's like the fact that the user is going to be able to have that usability without noticing it and in a secure way.
Yes,
I would say it's a plus.
Definitely. Yeah. No, but I definitely agree with you on that. The end user don't need to know how. I mean, what's behind the technology? It needs to be sure that it runs smoothly, it's secure, it won't lose money, tokens, or whatever it is. It just needs to work.
Exactly. And another thing is that looking at the market, there is demand for that interoperability among the different blockchains.
Yes.
So we have seen all these different solutions and bridges that are very centralized, and that's what the IBC protocol solves. It's like you can have a bridge in a way to communicate to another blockchain without centralization or having the need to have a multi-sig, dealing or like having all the power on the different bridges solutions. So I think that's a good. That's one of the main selling points of IBC protocol.
So would you say that on Cosmos, the multi-chain hack wouldn't have happened?
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Fortunately, I don't use multi-chain, so that's fine for me. Please, like, tell me more about that, because I'm quite interesting by this, we are trying right now in the Ethereum ecosystem to find so many ways to bridge assets.
Exactly.
From NFTs to tokens. How all of this works inside the EBC.
Yeah, I'm not an engineer, and so I think the best to answer those type of questions
for the regular people.
Yeah, but for the regular people, so IBC is a protocol, and so if someone wants to build a bridge using that protocol, they can just follow the rules of that protocol and use that protocol to build that bridge in there, or build that application in that protocol. And so they will have that functionality of communicating from one blockchain to another without relying on central parties like a multi-sig with 3 signers that will approve the movements from assets from one blockchain to another. So it's It's a more like it's more managed to blockchain from blockchain through blockchain than like from blockchain to a multisig and from that multisig to this other blockchain.
Okay. Interesting. You talked about open source funding. How like can you discuss the advantages and challenges of the funding model of the Interchain Foundation regarding all the projects you are working with?
The funding model right now is we use grants.
Okay.
And so we fund the teams that are developing the different pieces of the stack. And we take care of making sure that those developers are well paid and that they can focus on that area. All these different teams are experts on those different areas, and we use our treasury is for that mainly, and of course to sustain the operations of the ICF, but the operations of the ICF are very related to this grant program that we call the funding program.
Okay.
And so our business model is basically managing that treasury that we have.
So you will be attending Nebula Summit next week.
Yes, I will be attending Nebula Summit.
And so do you have a particular role? I mean, not you specifically, but the Interchain Foundation will have a specific role during the Nebula Summit? You will have a hackathon or something like that?
We are sponsoring. We like to help a little bit also, apart from the funding the development of these key pieces of the Interchain stack. We also like to support the community efforts. And for example, in Nebula, yes, we are sponsors. The product owner of the IBC protocol, she is going to be presenting and giving a talk about IBC. And some of us will be in the hackathon as well, helping people if it is needed.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. As discussed, as we have discussed previously, so you tell me that you used to work for Aragon. So this is not the main point. The main point is about DAO and governance. Can you like share insights of the evolution of DAOs and governance and its implication for the blockchain industry?
Yes, I think right now there is a huge identity crisis around DAOs.
Yes,
that's problematic because that crisis is what doesn't allow these topics to evolve. I feel like I joined Aragon in 2017 and then I left in 2021, and we are just walking around circles on the same topics without really understanding what a DAO is. And nowadays, I say it is an identity crisis because, everybody calls, mention a DAO to refer to different things.
Yes, it's a buzzing word, like
exactly. It's more like it's more like a buzz word that. I think it is losing its meaning.
Yes.
However, I have to say there is a small group of people within the ecosystem that are also working around DAOs since many years, and now there is the idea of what is a DAO is I feel like it's becoming more clear, but it's not widely public. And I think the problem is that DAOs and this type of like social clubs, for example, or these VC DAOs or these like guild DAOs that go and develop something, they are people like to be part of something, and that's what they call the DAO. But if you analyze the meaning, decentralized and autonomous organization, in most of these cases that are called DAOs, yes, they are not centralized and they are not autonomous. Now, they do have a token, some of them, or they work for or are very connected to certain blockchains, and so that's the interesting part. So, in my opinion, DAOs are really the blockchains. and for example, the Ethereum blockchain is a decentralized and autonomous system. DAOs are more close to a machine than to a corporation, to say it in a way. And that was the confusion at the beginning, and we were like part of that confusion at the beginning with Aragon. But that was the learnings from the team we had after the many years. I think it was almost 4 years that the whole team were working together. The funding team. And so this try, like, for us to try to accommodate DAOs to the corporations, I think it was a mistake, and we should accommodate DAOs more like the Bitcoin blockchain is a DAO. The Ethereum blockchain is a DAO, is decentralized in the way that, like, any specific, there is not like any individual discretionary power that is able to change the whole thing or the rules of that system. That system has encoded rules, and so and it's very difficult to change that, and that's what brings like this censorship resistant characteristic. And also, this system is self-governed, according to the rules of those protocols. This is why it's autonomous, it's trust minimized. So humans are more moving at the edges, like the consensus mechanism is a piece of technologies according to a protocol. Writing in software that the system reach consensus. And so, however, of course, there are humans participating in those blockchains. So I think what we are going to start seeing are entities that some of them are like just legal entities that use certain technologies, or like even can use a blockchain, but those entities are just automating certain functionality, which is going to be super nice, but they are still going to be a legal entity. It's just like it's going to be a more innovative type of thing. And then there are other entities that are going to be like more connected to the blockchain, in the sense of like maybe a foundation can have a treasury that they give certain power over the movement of that treasury to the community. So the token holders could, for example, vote on who are the signers of the multisig, where the treasury of that foundation is being held, and also can select the members of the multisig. So these things are going to be very related to the blockchain, but at the end of the day, those type of entities are also going to have to incorporate, because they are not. It's like still these things that people call DAOs today. For example, these NFT projects or social clubs are very, it's like everything is the consensus is through human participation. And so the best for them is to really just set up an entity, but like they can be a very innovative and modern entity that render a service to I think like a blockchain.
And in the traditional world we call that an association, in my opinion. Like there's so many DAOs that should be just like, an association. They can register and tell that, we have someone managing the treasury, we have the president, the vice president, the secretary, and stuff like that.
Exactly. And I think people in the DAO space, they are missing the forest for the trees. And it's just, it's like, so sometimes I'm like, I think what people really want are just very innovative entities that can run on a blockchain, for example. But in any case, that entity is going to be centralized, is still managed by humans. So it should be registered in some jurisdiction, at least to offer protection for people that participate on this type of organization. And like the thing is that for me, what is innovative even from a corporate law perspective, and I used to be a corporate lawyer, and that's why I was, for me, Aragon was like a dream, because I was super interested about DAOs. I think that a blockchain is really a new type of of entity that we haven't seen before. Even if like Bitcoin only have one application, that's okay. So it's a huge application. The fact that we have a Bitcoin and that there is no government that gets to say who can participate, who can hold a Bitcoin, who can sell that Bitcoin. Of course, if you're going to sell through a centralized exchange, you have to, as an individual, you have to follow the rules of your jurisdiction. But maybe you don't want to sell anything and you just want to keep your Bitcoin on your own multi-sig. It's like, yes, you're going to have to pay taxes still, but it's more like this censorship resistant system that no jurisdiction tells you that you can't participate. And for me, that's what got me into Bitcoin at first. I'm from Colombia. I tell people, most of Colombians, we are narcos, unless proven otherwise. And this is very, like, this really happens within the financial system.
I can understand.
So for us, I'm from Colombia, but I have been living outside Colombia for many, many years. And for us, sometimes to send money back to Colombia, it's like, we have to get approval from the Pope and whatnot. I'm exaggerating, but so those things are amazing. Those things are amazing. And now the fact that you can interact with those systems, and yes, you're gonna have to. You still like all this organization, like the teams of developers working for a blockchain. Still, they are like it's a team of humans. They should incorporate an entity, and then they participate with that blockchain. Of course, they can also. I think there's going to be some changes in the legal system to accept. For example, now people are working remotely, and believe it or not, still for us. For normal entities to hire people from other jurisdictions, it's still very difficult. But now with these new technologies, it's like you can work remote, and also you can pay a salary through tokens. And so I think this is innovative, and it's also very very exciting, I think.
Okay, and do you have like a major use case of the DAO tooling system on Cosmos?
I think regarding DAO tooling, the main use case is, for example, having accountability systems.
Okay.
For in Cosmos, and this I didn't mention before. In Cosmos, we do have something that is different from Ethereum is that every blockchain, it has also a community pool.
Okay.
So that means that part of the issuance of the token of that blockchain goes to a community pool. Of course, the community or the token holders, they can change the parameters and like things around inflation and whatnot, and what goes to the community pool. But in general, on a high level, so every blockchain has that, and so that means that the community is going to have some sort of a treasury in order to take care of the development of that specific blockchain. However, these community pools are very immature right now, and it's because there is a lot of work to do around governance structures for that to scale, and so, for example, we are funding a team, for example, and maybe that team can go and present a proposal. We're funding a team working on certain initiative around the Cosmos Hub. And maybe that team should be able to go and present a proposal to that community pool. But there are still a lot of questions among the community. And also it's hard for the teams sometimes to, like who should be reviewing that proposal? Mm-hmm. Do we need committees or whatnot?
Yes.
It's like there is still a lot of work around that. That the community need to organize in order to start experimenting with that.
So how would you avoid, like you said, like, do we need a community or something like that? So how would you avoid some kind of digital nepotism or autocratic system like popping into the ecosystem?
Oh, that's a difficult question, but the thing is, I think the good thing is this community pool. I think the way you would avoid is having policies around those things, having clear and transparent processes for the community to follow in order to before taking a decision on what type of team to fund.
Okay. But like in France, we say that we love to make rules to break those rules because we love to. I mean, we love to make those rules because we love to break the rules. And don't you think, like, even having like policies, that there will always be people to find a way to, like, go through
play the system. Yeah, that's that. And this is also what when I talk around these issues or about these issues, I always say. In this area, this is why for me the blockchain is like this is a machine, and then we are all the humans around that that form the community, and then we have to organize in terms of like certain treasury or pool of money that is managed through this token holder. So I'm like, it's like we have to be open to the fact that there is going to be a lot of trial and error, and there are going to be a lot of things that in some cases it will work out, in some cases it will fail because maybe the community or some people manage a way to game the system. And so we're going to have to be iterating a lot. So yeah, and like iterating, and also I think it's a mix of maybe some tooling around, I don't know, around accountability. So for example, even if a team managed to game the system for a specific proposal, I don't think if the community see that, I don't think they will be funded again, for example. That's one thing. Or there can be, systems like the payment is not delivered until they really show that they deliver something. I think there is a lot of things that you can do around that.
Okay, great. I got so many questions about DAOs, but we are like running out of time. Given your experience, given with all your experience, can you share thoughts on the most significant challenges and opportunities facing the world of decentralization today?
Opportunities.
It could be like whatever. I mean, maybe you have already figured out for communities, maybe in Colombia, for example, or in other region of the world like Africa, or is there any? I mean, we all know the drawbacks. The hacks, the some kind of autocratic nepotism inside the DAO and stuff like that. But what could be the best that even if it's somehow a bit an utopia, but what are the best for you advantages?
Yeah, I think there is still a lot of I think the big opportunities is to really open up the opportunity door to other parts of the world, like these countries that are always in the back of the list, and I think having these systems that are like that they don't follow any specific jurisdiction, that they self-regulate like a blockchain, that they are censorship resistant, that they are not attached to any specific state. I think the fact that people are going to be able to use those tools, even if it is at the beginning only around DeFi or financial applications. A lot of people complain about that, like the casinos, and I'm like, well, we need casinos,
we don't need casinos. In my opinion, we don't.
We do need casinos in the what people call the third world, but I think that's a big opportunity. I think for the first time we are seeing systems that are really decentralized. Going back to these two examples, Ethereum and Bitcoin and the blockchains in Cosmos, it's if a jurisdiction wants to regulate that thing, is impossible for them. It's like there is no one party that controls the whole thing, and so they are unstoppable. The missing opportunities, I think, is still around people not understanding the value of decentralization.
Yes.
And maybe just, ending up with systems that don't change the status quo, and they just improve what we already have, and this is what we're trying to change.
Yeah.
I think that's it. That is the main. However, I'm very positive. I'm seeing that
Fortunately.
Yeah. No. I'm seeing that it's still like a lot of the main use cases are still very following this ethos of decentralization and like products or systems that are global and that anybody can if they want to and can participate.
Okay. And so my last question is, what is the future of ICB and most important, the Interchain Foundation? What's going on next?
Yes. For us, I think is how we see the future is we want to continue supporting the development and maintenance of these key pieces that are public goods. However, we also in the future will see that, for example, from here to 20 years, we hope that our role is much and much less relevant in the sense that there will be more people taking care of those public goods, or not people. Yeah, people, but I'm not saying people like directly through other traditional entities or traditional companies, but maybe these community pools are going to be like the communities of around this blockchain are going to be taking care of like the pieces of the stack. And so we like to because these community pools and all this work around that in terms of governance and accountability structures is very immature. We don't see that happening in 5 years, but maybe we see that happening in 15 years. And so, the idea is that we are less and less relevant there because now these public goods are going to be sustained by all these different community pools.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Maria. Muchas gracias. And I hope to see more about and learn more about the Cosmos ecosystem. And like, don't hesitate to send us some members of the community to talk on the podcast.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you should invite the people from the IBC.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thanks to you.
Chills. Literal chill.